also caring about the people that are the workers, right, behind the brands that are creating these amazing products. Because this is, for me personally, is, as a scientist, it's a very something very close to my heart. I'm involved in the field of toxicology, and I've studied things like, people who work in factories, and they work in, these environments that are being using materials that, we would probably not consider so clean. Yeah,
Mhm.
but what's happening is that after prolonged exposure, people are, really being damaged, and they're being hurt. And keeping that in mind as well, while we're sustaining this idea of, hey, we're clean, we're good for you, we're good for the environment. Like, that aspect never gets talked about. So I want to actually see what you guys think about that in terms of like the employees, and what really goes behind each of your brands when it comes to formulations, and who works on them, like in terms of formulating.
I'm happy to go ahead and hop on that one.
Yeah.
For us at Pipette, one of the things we're really proud about is we actually do all of our formulas in-house. So we have an amazing team, and moms on the team. So they're very passionate about the products that we go ahead and put out, as they're using them not only on themselves, but their little ones. And so for them, it's really going ahead and making sure that we are kind of abiding by the EWG standard. So using, to that point that you touched on there, Edka, is those non-toxic ingredients. So it's thinking of it really, this is going to be going on a baby. This is something that needs to be safe. And so with that is, in our lab spaces, is using only the necessary ingredients, and ingredients that are not only safe, but that clean and sustainable element really is the holistic approach we try to take with that.
I love that. I really love that. And Janelle, I want you to really comment on this, because you're the one who brought it up. So I would love to hear your take on this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it, to Taylor's point, is very similar for Olika as well. It's really about how we're processing ingredients. Again, not just for the safety of consumers, but for the safety of workers. The way we process our water is a perfect example. We use a reverse osmosis system. And by doing that, we're producing less hazardous wastewater, because we're not requiring all of the chemicals that needs to go into the water in order to process it. And you think about that, those chemicals are, they're really bad for our products, but they're also really bad for the people who are working with the products. So we hold ourselves to a really high standard in our manufacturing and in our supply chain, because there can be really unintended consequences of using some of these hazardous chemicals, to your point with the workers. And that's just one example of the things we do. Of course, we're looking at that all the way from farming all the way to like it landing, at the consumer's doorstep. But we take extra special attention to make sure every step of the way we're making choices that are beneficial for everybody.
There's an interesting ad for Terrasana. So similar to Pipette, Terrasana owns its own ingredient stack. So we know where those things are coming from. It's the scientists are our scientists. The ingredients are coming from our teams. But what I found was really interesting is, so we use fermented sugarcane as the source of the primary ingredient. And they actually moved the fermentation facility onto the same land that the sugarcane is growing. So we're not loading sugarcane, trucking it to a different location, and then making the magic happen. Like, it's all happening right there. And even that small move, which seems small, has a big impact, right? Because think about all of the stuff we're not doing. We're not transporting.
You're preserving an ecosystem, like a business ecosystem.
We really are. There was this article in ProPublica about like how ugly sugar cane manufacturing is at large. And when I saw that, I was just like, it hit my heart in such a hard way. And it was specifically talking about Florida. And so when I first was joining the team, I was asking all of these questions, that my whole advocate for others who may not know they need an advocate, because I had never heard this before. And I was really impressed with how they really flattened the system and looked for any place to optimize the footprint that was being made through the manufacturing, and then owning and optimizing every step. And that is it's a different kind of ownership and accountability from a company level than I'd ever seen before.